All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Sean Lowery Show podcast. I have an awesome guest with me today. I'm finally talking to him, David Schloss. How you doing, man?
Doing fantastic. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. All right, so in my last couple episodes, I'm in the 90s of my podcast, and I've been starting off the podcast with 90-second rapid fire random questions. Yep. I'm gonna hit you with them. You ready? You ready to be on the spot?
Let's do it.
All right, boom. So I got a timer here. So boom. All right. What's your favorite book?
50th Law.
Okay. Great. Favorite like musician, rapper, band?
50 Cent. Sort of goes
50
with the
Cent?
book.
Okay, that goes to the first one. TikTok or Snapchat?
TikTok.
Okay. Your favorite state in the United States?
Florida.
Who is somebody that you would love to punch in the face?
Jake Paul.
All right. I think he might punch you back hard. Netflix or YouTube?
YouTube.
Your favorite sports team?
Miami Heat.
How much money would you pay to put a billboard of your business on a busy highway?
10 grand.
Favorite movie?
Shit.
There's no wrong answer.
That one gone. I don't know.
All right, we'll go with Cinderella. Who's your favorite American president of all time?
Clinton.
Who do you think is the smartest person on the planet?
15 seconds.
Kathy Woods.
Oh, she's smart. I know her. Hamburger or taco?
9,
Hamburger.
8,
Favorite entrepreneur?
Also Kathy Woods.
5,
Nice. Over the next 10 years, would you rather own Bitcoin or the S&P 500?
Oh, Jesus. Based on growth, it'd be Bitcoin.
Okay, all right. And that's 90 seconds. You made it. You made it. Yo, cool, man. Yeah, so yeah, it's just something new I'm doing, starting off the podcast. Kind of get me to know you, get loosen up, get the audience to know you a little bit.
Absolutely.
$10,000 for a billboard, huh?
Yeah, well, I run ads online, right? So it's like,
Right.
what is the budget I'm usually okay with starting out and losing that I would also apply to other avenues? So you know what? If I'm going to go all out, I'll put 10 grand. Even I know billboards are way less than that. But if you're going to put me on the busiest highway in front of the most people, hey, whatever, take my 10, see what happens.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, most people are like looking down these days, but I mean, I actually always look at billboards because I'm like, I read them when I'm just like looking at them. But I mean, they're worth something. I'd pay $100 to put my business up on a billboard, $200, $300, but 10,000. I don't think I would do 10,000.
Hey, all it takes is a couple customers on my service, and that covers.
Okay, that's true. That's true. Okay, yeah. So just for context, I am an e-commerce guy. I did $5 million in sales last year. I have 15 employees, and I basically get all my sales from Facebook ads, and I sell monogram clothing to girls. It's a niche, but basically I sell products online. Mm-hmm. So just kind of a context for a conversation about Facebook ads. But I could really get into the weeds talking about Facebook ads, but I wanted to start with a different topic that's on the same level. But how knowledgeable are you about this this iOS 14 and this Facebook versus Apple battle?
Right.
Do you know about it? Like, are you knowledgeable on it?
I'm familiar. Here's the thing. I don't think anyone is truly super knowledgeable on it because it's still rolling out. We're all learning as we go, right? There's only so much information out there that we're being supplied from both sides. And so a lot of what we know about this change is just what happens in real time, right?
Right.
There's a dip in conversions. You notice that your pixel isn't tracking like it usually is. Maybe instead of a margin of error being 3 to 5%, now it could be 7 to 10%, right? So you're sort of figuring things out as you go versus a press release coming out and then you're totally aware of it, right? It's not like when Business Manager rolled out or when the pixel moved from conversion events to a universal pixel. Like those were all press releases. A lot of people figured this out in advance. You know, maybe they got some, beta access or you got access just weeks in advance of other people. This is different. We were all hit in the face with it at the same time.
Yeah.
And then Facebook panicked. And then
dude, Facebook is freaking out, man. Like, have you seen their messages? They're like, we don't support Apple's decision on all this stuff. Like, I can sense panic and freak out when I see it. And the messages that I got as an advertiser from Facebook, I'm like, oh man, dude, this is something to pay attention to because Facebook's freaking out.
Yeah, but here's the thing. It also affects other networks, right? It affects Google. It'll affect TikTok. It'll affect anything that is an ad network that has a large user base using iPhones, which is a lot of people. But you also have to remember, Android is still overwhelmingly more in terms of devices, available devices around the world. But if you're looking at just the US, I think it's something like 80% of the market is iPhones. So if your primary driver of business is in the US, you're going to feel it far more than someone who has a worldwide business that sells.
Yeah. All right. So for the people who have no idea what we're talking about that are listening,
right,
give a little you explain like a kind of a baseline of what's going on.
Yeah. So Apple decided to, let's just say, update their iOS system to basically remove the tracking capability of a network like Facebook and Google and anything that allows you to track using cookies, for that matter. And these cookies, which we all know are, they basically stick to your browser, they follow you around, and they see what your habits are, right? I go on Facebook and I buy this, I go on Instagram and buy that. And it takes this information and compiles it and comes up with like a profile, right? David buys this stuff and this is what he likes to search for. So it helps advertisers like me sort of come up with a plan of what we need to put in front of you so you have a higher likelihood of buying or reading or whatever it is.
Right.
And so they are stripping that capability back and making it so that the only way.
Why?
To me, they're going to develop their own network, right? Bring all the data in-house, right? They have iTunes and then they did the podcasting route and they're like, oh, we got all this podcast data. So why not expand upon that network, right? So you could see where they just data hoard in the beginning and then bring it in, right? Buy music. Yeah, anyone buy music from anywhere. And then they're like, oh, well, iTunes, we have all this data. You can only get iTunes exclusives now. If you're not an iTunes exclusive, go elsewhere, right? So you can see they've done this before. They did it when they brought podcasts onto the iTunes network. They've done this with just their devices and, who wants to pay for the default browser slot? Chrome, sorry, go, bye. We're just going to do Safari now, right? So they've done this over and over. Bring your data. Thank you very much. You can go now. We have all the data we need. So my thought process is they have years upon years upon years of browser history now and browser data with Safari from the phone that they're like, we're missing out on billions upon billions of dollars in advertising through our own devices, through our own network, that we don't need these other people anymore. We don't need these other networks anymore. They're profiting from our user base. So let's just bring it all in and use our browser on our network through our ad network and just keep everything in one big ecosystem.
So, but that's not what they're saying though, right?
No, of course not. But
what's their pitch to their pitch to the public is we respect your privacy, right?
What privacy? Honestly.
Yeah.
Because Siri is listening to me right now.
Yeah.
And so is every other device in the household, right? So if you have Alexa, if you have Google Nest, you have anything, they're all listening constantly.
I always say if I'm going to murder somebody, I'm going to unplug Alexa so it's not recorded.
Well, either way, just me saying Alexa, someone's going to listen to this and go, it's going off again, right? But the main thing for me is, the surface level could be the privacy. When you dig a little deeper, you're going, there has to be an ad network in here somewhere, right? All this user data that they can apply towards their own advertising in browser and can make billions upon billions of dollars from that. Not to mention, maybe they decide to loosen up on their privacy rules down the road and then reopen their data back to these networks again. It's going to be at a premium, right? So it's like, hey, you want this data? Okay, Facebook, when we merge together, it's not free anymore. In order to get to our iPhone users, now you got to pay.
I never thought of that.
There's a lot of things that they can do. It could be a power play for all we know. But then at the same time, this wouldn't be the first time that Tim Cook and Zuckerberg have had issues, right? And if you think about it, Google is keeping their mouth shut, but Google's the big search engine that pretty much everyone uses, and then they have their ad network, so it will affect them as well. But their way of combating this is they're going to have their own pixel code and their own way of doing things that hopefully will bypass the iPhone situation, because now everyone's working on their own solution, right? Facebook will have its own, Google will have its own. So I don't think any data is going to be. Do
you think Apple will create an ad platform?
I don't see why not. There was a time where
that'd be cool. I'd be in. I would get on there, start running ads, see how it goes.
I honestly thought that a couple years ago they were going to do this with just
they have one for apps, right? But they don't have one for like selling products.
But that's the part that's confusing, right?
Yeah.
Because you have you have the App Store, which we know brings in a bunch of money, right?
Hmm.
But they don't have anything specific for the musician side because of iTunes, which is kind of surprising considering how much money that makes. And then the
Hmm.
podcasting side, it's like that's all integrated, right? So they could have individual networks for every single modality, right?
Hmm.
Musicians for music, podcasters for the podcast stuff. Like, I'm surprised that they didn't build out their own video network. Well, they did with the Apple TV, but it's not quite like a YouTube, right? But they
Yeah,
have all
right.
the
There's no,
data.
there's right. That's more of a pay. That's more of a subscription than an ad based.
Exactly. So they have all the infrastructure. It's just the execution on each piece hasn't been there, but they obviously figured this out. They figured out this.
Where would they display their ads if they did create a network? Would it be like maybe notifications on your phone, or
Probably
like people
push.
wouldn't like
Probably
push?
and text.
Oh, people would not like that.
You know, but that's the thing. It's like, how else?
Imagine getting a push notification on your phone saying Papa John's 50% off tonight. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
first of all, I'd be like, all right, sign me up. But second of all, I'd be like, I gotta get this off my phone.
like, I'm going to use it and then I'm going to get rid of it, right? So there's a couple things. I mean, push and text are the obvious ones, but that only goes so far, right? That's like a one-off. Maybe a couple times it'll work, and then people just go, I'm tired of this.
Yeah, of course.
It's not like they're going to develop their own social network because it's like,
right. They tried that, or no, wait, no, they didn't. That was Google that failed at that.
That was Google,
right? Right. They're not going to do that, and they don't have even inside the browser. Which, by the way, I put Chrome on all my devices. First thing I do, a new computer, go to Safari, download Chrome. I hate Safari, but they can't. They don't even have a search engine that they could display ads in. They don't really have anywhere to display ads except for push.
Right. And that's really the confusing part. It's like, why are you going to hold on to all this data, but then not know how to utilize it to make more money? Because in reality,
thing's interesting.
I
never thought of that.
We have your data, like Facebook, for example, they have this data of the iOS users. They know who uses a phone. Like even if Apple's disconnected, they still have the historical data of every person that's ever logged into their Facebook app from an iPhone, and they can attach it to a profile. So even if Apple disconnects me from the service in terms of Facebook saying, hey, David is on an iPhone on your app, they already have that my last login a week ago was from an iPhone. They're going to use the historical data. So it's not like it's going to completely stop. You also have to remember, it's not like a system that auto refreshes every week or every month where it's like, all right, we're just going to log out of all your devices and now we don't know what you're using. No, there's logs of all that. So I'm pretty sure as soon as Apple's completely just broken away from the Facebook environment as much as it can be, that Facebook's still going to use their historical data to say you could target these iPhone users, but we don't have the most up-to-date info on like who still has an iPhone and what version. But they'll still say this person has an iPhone. So it's just a strange time. I think it's Apple's power play of saying we own the data, screw you, right? It's just their way of doing that. But I'm not surprised. I just know that in all the years I've run ads on the network, there's always been a solution. Something comes along, causes chaos, and out of chaos comes solution, right? Okay, we don't like this anymore. We're going to figure out how to fix it. Boom, here you go. Now, the difference is with this might take 6 to 12 months before there's a solution.
Yeah.
This is not.
I mean, ads are still converting. Like, and I don't know. Is it even rolled out yet?
Slowly.
Okay. So I don't even know because they were freaking out. I was like, okay, I'm embraced for impact, but I'm still running ads. They're still converting. They did take the conversions off of like the campaign page, which is kind of annoying to me because I like to look at my campaign page and see like, if I have a bunch of ad sets and then a bunch of ads within those ad sets, I just want to see it all into one ROAS on the campaign page. And they took that away. And I was like, what the hell? It's
still there if you create new campaigns, right? So the new campaigns, if you create all new campaigns and they all have the same attribution window, you can compile them together and see that number. But a lot of us have old campaigns that are set to that.
I guess that's what I have. Yeah. Like,
the 28.
I change up the ad sets. I change up the ads, but like I have one that's conversions and then I have one that's like conversion story ads. Yeah. And everything's within there. So like if I restart it, I like to go back, see most successful ads over the past like 3 months and then be like, all right, I'm going to run this one again. I'm going to run this one again. So I don't want to like.
They do it based on attribution now. So it's like you can compile all of the campaigns that are 7-day click, or you can compile all the 1-day click and 1-day view, right? So as long as the attribution window is the same, you can compile those. In the past, we used to just merge them all together and it would give us a total for all of them. Now
Yeah.
it's based upon attribution window.
And how does that have to do with iOS?
I think that when iOS was developing their rollout, Facebook's way of sort of updating their own system is like, hey, we can't track as far as 28 days anymore. So we're going to develop the 7-day system, which many of us were optimizing for 7 days anyway.
Yeah.
But we were like, we'll keep the 28 because it's cool to look at the whole month, right?
I had 28 because I figure I get more.
Yeah,
I
there's
get
more data. It's just more data. But now 7 days optimal. So when they made that switch, everything that was 28 day it wasn't wiped out, but it was hidden because it's no longer the
so they're treating them separately. That's why it's not coming all together as like in one number.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. So attribution is very interesting, but like on a bigger level in this conversation. So one of the things for average people to know is, so whenever you get this iOS 14 update, I don't think I've gotten it, but what will happen is you'll go to the browser and it'll pop up and say, do you want to share your data?
Yeah.
Isn't that essentially along the lines? And now most people, I don't know the answer to this question. If I see it, I'm hitting yes, share my data.
Yeah.
If I got to get ads sent to me, I might as well have it be for something that I like. Mm-hmm. And I think most people, if everyone hits yes, then this isn't a problem, right?
Yeah. That's the main thing, is as long as most of the network says yes, it's okay.
So if you're listening, hit yes. Say yes, share my data. They're not going to watch you in the shower. They're just going to serve you ads that are things that you like at good prices, right?
Yeah.
So like I think a lot of people are going to hit no, though, just because this is my data. I don't know.
There have been reports that the phone networks themselves, the T-Mobiles, AT&Ts, and all that, they are working on developing their own messaging for when that prompt pops up. So I don't know how that works. Don't ask me. There was a report of AT&T that when that was beginning the rollout, they did a small test of their own personalized prompt saying like, this app is willing to serve you ads based upon if you share your data, but they reworded it differently than how Apple was wording it.
So like not the device, not the browser, but the network of the carrier would send a little message.
Which is almost like saying, do you just automatically by default say yes to all apps? Which, think about that. If you say, you have to, because if you use Uber, they need your data to find out where you are. So if you don't say yes,
anything like that, right?
You don't say yes, it's like, well, I can't find you then. Sorry, I can't deliver your food with DoorDash. I can't. So I think the networks now are going, if we don't get that data, we're screwed.
Right.
So we're going to find out a way to say by default yes to everything.
I wonder if Zuckerberg was behind that. He hit up like AT&T and all that Verizon and was like, "Yo, come on, guys."
They probably have some sort of backdoor deal. Help us with this. We'll give you some stock, whatever. It's like it's always something. But if you think about it, it makes complete sense. If T-Mobile and AT&T and Verizon start losing out on a lot of data, because all that personalized data that Facebook gets is also shared by the phone networks, right? Those phone networks also have the data.
I never even thought about that, to be honest.
Yeah.
Of course it's true. I share all my data. I don't care.
My data's been shared since I gave blood. If you think about it, like my DNA's out there, all of my medical records are out there. Like anything that you paid for, your stuff's out there, your address is out there. Like at this point, what's privacy, right?
Yeah.
What you're really giving up is your decision on what gets served, because now it's just the networks deciding what to serve you based upon what you've been clicking.
And it won't relate to you. And it won't be as good.
Right. So to me, it's like, I personalize my experience anyway. If this doesn't relate to me, I just hide it. And then, the network just...
That's actually a good tip for people. If you enjoy ads, like the ones that don't apply to you, hide them. Yeah. And then it'll like learn more. You're giving them even more information about what kind of products you like.
But let's also take it a step further, because you think about it with Facebook, at least in my experience, and it's not just because I run a lot of Facebook and Instagram ads. I see more hyper targeted ads on Facebook and Instagram for me than I do on YouTube, even though my consumption on YouTube is higher. So the ads that I get over there,
identical. I'm identical to that.
Yeah,
that same situation applies to me.
I'm not sitting there watching ads on YouTube, but I actually watch ads on Facebook and Instagram, because some of them are short and sweet to the point, and they make me laugh, or they get me to click.
They know you.
Yeah, and they get me to impulse buy. Even though I run so many ads, it's like I still impulse buy things. Don't get me wrong. So those networks get me every time. YouTube, on the other hand, is like, I'm in the middle of consuming something. You throw me a pre-roll ad or a mid-roll ad. Sorry, bye, skip. And I just move on.
See, I have YouTube Premium because I hate commercials.
So you don't even see it. And that's the whole thing. I don't think Facebook will do a premium model, because if they did, people like me will transfer millions of dollars a month that we spend for people somewhere else.
Exactly.
We're just going to leave. Right. So they don't really have that decision.
They'll make more money from the ads, and they're not as disruptive as a commercial. You just scroll past it, as opposed, dude, I hate commercials, like, passionately. I am a huge sports fan, and I've stopped watching sports. I watch the highlights the next day. I just can't handle it. But I like ads. I just don't like commercials because of the blatant, like, ignorance of, like, oh yeah, fuck your time. Fuck, like, I'm like, dude, just pop up in the corner, and if I'm interested, I'll click.
Yep.
But on this, like, all right, so, like, on the data topic, one more data, I don't know how to say it, but one more, like, all right, so I'm a conspiracy theorist. I'm not saying me, I'm being the devil's advocate. What is the worst case that pops up on your phone and it says, do you want to share your data? Like we said, most people will probably hit no. They might not really think about it. What's the worst thing that could happen to somebody who shares their data?
I think the thought process is that they're sharing so much information. It's not the selling part. It's not the selling of the data, because it's happening anyway. I think their concern is like this identity theft, or that, you might move to a new address and then all of a sudden it's like all that junk mail you were getting at one is now being transferred to the other. Like your information is never going to be erased. It's just getting moved.
Don't you want to get your mail from your old house? It's like an address transfer at the post office.
I understand that, but I think it's just people's belief that it's like, you already know too much about me. It's like, but that's been going on for years. You're just more aware of it now because of social media.
The only good argument that I've heard is your data is valuable, so you should get paid for it or something.
I understand that, but you also have forfeited much of it by accepting the terms on the phone that you also use, because no one ever reads the terms and conditions upon installing something that literally says we own everything you put on this thing. Right. So
and if you decline, you can't use the phone.
Then you can't use it. So what are you going to do? Go jailbreak a phone? This isn't the early 2000s. Good luck with that. Right. So
that's true.
So there's a lot of this false freedom that everyone thinks they have, because it's like, look, you already accepted the terms, man. Like, it's done. And every app you download, that photography app you downloaded, guess what? Sharing data. That game you just bought, sharing data. It's all sharing. The minute you open up a phone number on any network, data share begins. It's done. So it's just this false ideal of, no, this is my data. I own ideal. It. And I'm going to sell it to you. You gave it up a long time ago. And if you think about it, I got my phone number when I was in, I think it was like 6th or 7th grade, when my father gave me my first phone. I'm 32 now, so that kind of gives you an idea. So when he gave me that phone, and I have the same phone number to this day, that was the day my data was being sold.
Right.
Period.
And has some FBI agent broke into your house while you're naked? Like, no, they don't care. They don't care.
Have my emails been hacked before? Yes. Has my Facebook account been compromised? Yeah, of course, because this is the.
Is that even related?
It doesn't even matter.
Yeah,
it doesn't. It's not even related. But that's the whole point. It's like, there's all these sites you've signed up for. There's all these emails you've had. There's all these bank accounts you've opened. Everything that you've done is just data transfer. Constantly. And I get
this notification on Chrome now. It's like 45 of your passwords are compromised, and I'm like,
from what?
I was like, I'll deal with that later. I just hit X, and like, I go look at them. I'm like, well, I don't want to remove my password from this one, because like, what if I log in? I don't want to have to go type it in.
But it's like, what is the whole point? Is that like it's all interconnected, and even if you're like, I don't want to share my stuff with Facebook, it's okay. Wells Fargo, Bank of America has your stuff. So does your phone company. Yeah. So does the company you pay your mortgage to. Then
the advertisers lose. Then me, especially you, more than me, because you have worked for multiple accounts. But you lose in that sense.
We get hit the hardest because now the data availability is less. Right. So I'm going to end up sending.
And it's not like the other people are winning. They're just getting crappy ads.
Right. It's like, they could be vegan getting served Taco Bell ads.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, I don't want to watch this. Well, sorry, you didn't tell me I could access your data. I'm sending you the wrong stuff. Right.
Yeah, and everyone loses.
The main thing is it's the customization and personalization of what you're seeing that they're forfeiting. Right now, that's getting taken away. So maybe people down the road are going to get pissed off that they're getting sent a bunch of stuff that doesn't fit with what they like. And that's when they'll realize like, oh, this is what they meant by data sharing, is that maybe something that I actually am interested in will start to pop up again.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm not too worried about it. Like I've been cycles of changes on these networks. I've run ads on Facebook. This will be year 14 of me running ads. Dude. So OG, right? So when I see things change, I just go, give it 6 months. Give it time. Wow. Let everyone panic. Let everyone leave. Give, Armageddon 2.0. Everyone just leaves and goes, oh, this network sucks. I can't do it anymore. Great. Ad costs go down. I get to play around with all the new stuff. And then when you all come back, because you realize this network was still making you money, you just panicked. Yeah. All the new stuff will be rolled out and everything will be fine again. Yeah. Unless Facebook dies somehow in the next 1 to 5 years.
And Instagram.
And Instagram. That's another. And WhatsApp. And Oculus. Right. Unless all of these die.
Messenger. Yeah.
It's like, it's going to be figured out. And so.
Exactly. So that kind of leads me to like, what makes Facebook so good at this? Like I have spent money on Google ads, Pinterest ads, Snapchat ads, which I've done okay, TikTok ads. Yep. Like they're pretty good platforms. Like I respect them. I just don't put any of my budget to them because why? I could just put it to Facebook. And then sometimes I feel like I'm losing out because you don't want to have all your eggs in one basket. And maybe one of these is like has a new feature that's great, but like I don't have a whole team. I just like I'm putting my money in Facebook. That's the best place for it. Like, well, do you feel the same way about that?
It's because I mean the majority of my clients are spending on Facebook and Instagram because it converts the best for them. That doesn't mean that we don't get YouTube to convert or that we don't get TikTok to convert. It just doesn't convert the same. Every now and again, YouTube.
So why would you put your dollars there?
Yeah, but that's the whole thing. It's like, you want to diversify your traffic, but you also want to put it towards what is converting.
Exactly.
And it might take some time. Now, don't get me wrong. There are cases now where YouTube is outperforming our Facebook and Instagram content. Really? But the difference is that Facebook, I can say, screw it to video and just go all in on images and get my ads to convert. Whereas with YouTube, can't quite do that, right? It's all video all the time, unless you're running ads in the sidebar in the image placements, which technically that's not YouTube ads. Those are Google display, right? So you either figure out the video side or you realize you suck at video and you need to get really good at display, right?
Dude, all we have is pictures and we sell products. If you're selling an information course, you need to have the whole funnel and everything. But like all I run is conversion ads, essentially, because I mean, we have a low cost product that is mostly purchased as an impulse buy on your feed. Some businesses are different, but that's what works for me. So I only run conversion ads.
But also consider with Facebook and Instagram, they sort of built this environment, this atmosphere of people who are having conversation with each other all the time. Messenger, WhatsApp, Instagram DMs, just Facebook in general with the comment threads and all that. And then you get slightly interrupted by an ad that's just blended in perfectly. And then if it happens to get your attention, you literally treat it like it's a regular post in your feed, and then you might buy something. So they obviously figured that out over time. I remember when it was just ads on the right-hand side and they were ugly. And guess what? They still
That's before my time. That was before my time. They still work then?
They still worked, but you were allowed to have the smallest budgets and have the craziest amount of clicks because there were so few advertisers, right? So your $5 would go a long way because those clicks were 1 to 2 cents, right? Dang. And then your CPMs were just crazy low. So, your availability of traffic, your testing, like all that was on another level. As the network grew, then they opened up more placements, and then Instagram came along, and then WhatsApp, and all these networks evolved. It gave more opportunity for different ways to advertise: stories, IGTV, Messenger, groups, all that. But at the end of the day, where are people still getting the best performance? In the feed. So it's in the middle of conversations. It's interruption marketing at its finest, blended with conversation. Yeah, and that's why
it's not even necessarily conversations. It's I'm bored. I'm just scrolling, looking for something to do, something to think about. Like, what am I going to see? And then because you have nothing to do, right? So it's not like sometimes it's not even conversations. It's just I'm bored. Entertain me, world.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And they've become the king or queen, if you want to put it that way, of boredom. Like, let me just take up your time. Now, YouTube, don't get me wrong, YouTube has really figured that out for years because it's like you can get lost in that one video after another sequence. And then Facebook developed their own way of doing that where it literally will just autoplay the next thing. And it's not
Right.
a slow autoplay. It's a quick, just boom, next one.
But I feel like on YouTube, I'm less likely to like buy a watch or a hat because like I'm watching videos right now. But when you're scrolling through Facebook, it's like I'm not really doing anything. I can go to another site and buy something.
Yeah,
Right?
Facebook's almost like a shopping experience. Actually, Instagram is more of that shopping experience that you might have because of the Explore page, and it's impulse related because it's short sighted. It's like boom, boom, boom. Oh, I like this. Click, got it. Move on. Right, and now you have Instagram shops built in where you can 2 clicks buy something and move
Love
on.
that.
Right, whereas with YouTube, it's an information marketplace, right? You might dissect things a little further, look into the person who put out the ad, maybe look up some review videos, then make a decision. I will say this though, the buyers that we see from YouTube are so, I would just say advanced that they will buy everything once they're in your ecosystem, right? So let's say you're selling a watch. They may not watch a watch ad and then buy it immediately like they would on Facebook or Instagram, but they'll see that watch ad, go to your channel, see the other watches that you've been doing some demos on and reviews and all that. And then they go to your store and they look around and they go, I like everything he's put out so far. And they'll buy 5 watches at one time because they've already done the research, right?
Interesting.
And
it
so,
might be like a
cycle.
week later, longer cycle.
Longer cycle, but they will buy a lot. And once they commit to buying from you, they will always buy from you. Always. And they will vet for you. So if someone starts talking crap about you, they will go on that video and say, you suck. And this brand is awesome. Like they become your raving fans.
So it's like a lifetime conversion, what's it? LTV, lifetime customer,
the LTV,
lifetime customer value. Yeah.
Very, very strong with a YouTuber.
Interesting.
On Instagram, you could build that, but a lot of those people are impulsy, right? So it's like, buy something and they move on. Buy something.
You kind of have to do it. I feel like you have to do it more like when you get their email address, and then you might drip them some content, and then put them in an audience, and then runs more like it's different. But yes, there's a chance they buy one thing, they like it, they get it, and then they're just like, I'm not a brand loyalist. I was like, I shouldn't have bought this. God damn it! Like I like it, but like I'm trying to save money, and I just bought this. More likely for that to happen on Instagram or Facebook. Hey, I'll take those sales all day, man.
Yeah, if you can blend them together, right? You get your your lifetime value type of customer, and then your impulse buyers, and you merge them together. Now you have a sustainable business all year round,
right?
Because you'll have a mixture of both. But I've built and helped people build businesses that are just specifically built upon Facebook and Instagram. That now they see the importance of just being multi-network, even if it's just from a retargeting standpoint of like reminding people of things. Which, retargeting will shift as well because, pixel data and cookies and all that are changing too. But it's really just giving people a second chance to look at something, right? A second chance to get something on discount, a second chance to be reminded that a presentation is coming. And not many of us sit through an entire ad, make a decision, watch a webinar, and buy a course. Same thing with buying something through a store. It's like I might see a t-shirt or some shoes now, but I might forget to hit save and then go buy it later. But if you show me the ad 3 hours later of something I just saw, thank you.
Yeah,
because I forgot about it.
Especially with a catalog ad, which shows you the exact product that you were on. I love that.
Yep.
And conversion ads are great. I mean, Facebook, yes, they have the best experience as far as when people are like we just talked about, but they have some powerful stuff behind the scenes. I don't know how or what, or I don't understand it, but a lookalike audience, right? You give them 3. Do you have success and use a lot of lookalike audiences?
Tons.
Yeah. And for the people who are listening who don't know, it's basically if you have an email list or people who viewed your Instagram page and say it's 100,000 people, 300,000 people, you say, hey, Facebook, these 300,000 people have been to my Instagram page. They know me. They like me. Give me 2 million that are just like them. How do they do that? I mean, it's pretty good. It works. How do they take 300,000 people and then find 2 million people just like them? I mean, it's not that easy. But we just take it for granted as advertisers. I feel like
we take it for granted now. Maybe not all of us, because it's I've seen the evolution. I've seen the evolution of a lookalike back when lookalikes were terrible, and then they've just incrementally gotten better and better. So think of it this way. They're taking a source audience, right? And they're looking at the characteristics of this source. Let's just say it's all your past buyers of your products, right? Or even your email list, or
Yeah.
phone number list, whatever it is.
Right.
And you're looking at similar characteristics. Who's in certain states or certain cities and zip codes? Do they all like a certain sport? What phone devices are they on? They're just looking for similarities, right? This
But, like,
person's
are you just speculating? Because
no,
they
that's
don't really,
exactly what they look
that
for.
is okay. I mean,
Yeah.
okay, so it's state. Like I thought, I don't know how deep that goes, but
Oh no, it goes as far
know.
as to like how many have Gmails, who have Yahoo. You know, they look at all these different components, and then what they're doing is they're seeing what's the majority, right? Oh, a lot of Gmails. 70% of this list is Gmails. Got it. A lot of these people live in the East Coast. Okay, cool, right? And then if you're supplying purchase data with value on top of that, now they're looking at those elements plus what do they buy, where they clicked, you know, that sort of information, because that's all being gathered by the Pixel too, right?
So I don't do those value ads. Those are good.
Well, not just value ads, but the value-based audiences. So
that's what I mean. Like they know how much money they spend, so like they can factor that into their importance
really, really well.
I should do more of those.
And so they take all that data and they sort of come up with like the perfect avatar of a person that would buy from you based on those characteristics. And then they go, how many people fit a certain percentage of this criteria? And they go out to their multi-billion person network and they go, okay, how many are just in the US? Because maybe you just want them from the US.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, personally.
Right? And then they go, okay, now we're down to 300 million people. And then we're going to find men and women who fit this criteria. And if a lot of your buyers are over 30, you'll find that most of your lookalike audience is over 30. Right. So that they'll go off that immediately. Then a lot of it's men. You'll notice a lot of your lookalike audience is men. Right. So they start to pick this apart and go, okay, we got a bunch of people who are men over 35 who love watches and play basketball and are on the phone all the time. And they're primarily on the West Coast, some in the East Coast, mostly the West Coast. And a lot of these people spend money on their credit cards. Then, boom, here you go. Here's your lookalike audience of 2 million of those people. Now, yes, there will be women sprinkled in there. There will be some people 25 to 35 in there. Like there's still going to be some other people in there because
they know. They just know
something, right?
Yeah.
And it's never perfect, but they're doing their best to create something that will remove guesswork for you.
Right.
Because interests are general. They're broad.
Right. And I trust that more than I trust myself doing it. Right. Like I don't do you do a lot of ads where like you go to the details and you pick like online shoppers or people who like Lululemon or like, do you do a lot of those?
Yeah, we still do that now because, you know, in the early parts of the, I'll just say like from 2013 to 2018, layering your audiences like that, you know, oh, they love basketball and they online shop and they use their credit. Like every time you layer it, it actually would perform really well. And then over the last couple of years, I found that the broader the audience and letting Facebook figure it out for you, or started to work way better. But you still have to give it somewhere to start, right? So you might throw in something like they need to be a small business owner, but then you let the rest of it figure it out. Or they need to be an online shopper, an avid online shopper. Great, boom, here you go. Or even something as far as I want to remove every person who loves coupon sites because I don't want to deal with people who are cheap, right? So just put a bunch of exclusions in there and let Facebook figure out the rest.
Do you use a lot of exclusions?
I do now, yeah.
The only thing I use for exclusions is like people who purchased in the last 30 days because like if they just bought it, they're probably not going to buy it like right away again.
Right.
Should
I like for e-com, that's usually the case. Is like the last 7 days, the last 14, the last 30. Right. Usually those are exclusions, but I'm also talking about the interest exclusions because, for example, if I'm with a lot of my e-commerce clients, we find that unless the product is already cheap, let's say it's less than $100. If we're selling something that is $200-300, most of the time, people who follow coupon sites are not going to buy this product because we're not giving away coupons and discounts anyway. So we need to exclude the coupon clippers, the coupon mom, all these coupon places, because most of those users are looking for a deal. You know, they're probably the people who are on Rakuten and Honey. Right, they have their app ready to go, and boom, I'm looking for a deal. We're not doing that. Now, if I'm selling something that goes on deal spots all the time, like a supplement. Because some of my supplement clients, they'll do like Black Friday deals, Cyber Monday deals. They'll do fall, spring. It doesn't matter. They'll do deals all the time. And they also sell on Amazon. That's the perfect person to advertise to because they're always looking for a deal. So throw me the couponers too, and then let them do their searches and get their cash backs and their discounts saved, because
that's what we want those people.
We want those people. So
that's what the ad is.
Exactly. So I'll use exclusions like that as well on top of the custom audience ones like you mentioned by time frame.
Yeah, this is in the weeds, but like, all right, so you know, you go to details and then say you type in coupon clippers. There's like 15 of them.
Yeah.
Like, how do you know which one? You just do all of them?
I do all of them, as many as I can. And here's the
we do teacher ads. We do we have a product for teachers, and I do the detail targeting, and there's like 50 of them. It's like 5th grade teacher, 7th grade teacher, science teacher, math teacher, pre-K teacher. I'm like, should I do all these or what?
Yeah, because a lot of them have a lot of overlap, right? Facebook still hasn't been able to figure out who's the 5th grade teacher versus the 7th grade teacher.
So why do they have it?
Yeah, but they know you're a teacher, so they're just merging you together. So oftentimes now, if you're just trying to find like that, I'll just use teacher as an example. You want to target all teachers. It's better to merge them and let the overlap settle itself out than trying to do individual teachers.
Right.
Because back then, let's just say a couple of years back, I would do individual. I would just target this one, target this one, target this one. Now I create what's called bundled audiences, and I just merge them and run it. And I let Facebook do the filtering for me. It's not 100% hands off in case anyone's like, oh, this just sounds really easy. I just throw everything together. No, that's not what happens. But also keep in mind, when you have a small budget, merging things together works really well in your favor, especially when you can only spend $100, $200 a day. When you have a large budget, like some of my clients who want to spend $5,000 a day, you can go audience by audience, because $20 a day times 100 audiences is, well, $2,000. So I have to test that in order to find the ones that actually have people willing to buy my stuff. Then I can bundle the winners together, right? But not everyone has that sort of luxury to spend that kind of money.
Yeah.
Right?
I spend like $5,000 a day, and I have a good amount of audiences.
Yeah. So you get to do segmentation. You can bundle things together. You can do more.
I do worry about overlap though, because I don't watch it. Sometimes I get a notification from them that's like, check out these have a 70%. These audiences are like, I'm like, ooh. How many more of those problems do I have? Is that an issue I should look out for?
Well, it's not necessarily an issue, but it's one of those things that if you want to test it, you just take the interests that have the most similarity and overlap, and you just bundle them all together and put them into one single ad set. And you can either do this with a campaign budget optimized campaign, or you could do a ad set budget and just put them all together, see how large that audience is. And since there's a lot of overlap, you'll notice the audience size won't increase that much, which usually tells you that you are overlapping, you are competing against yourself in some way, shape, or form. So it's actually better to just bring them all together. And then you can also put a higher budget towards it, right? So if you were spending $100 a day towards each of these audiences, and you're like, wow, these 4 audiences all combined have a lot of overlap. Well, you could just put them all together and start them out at $400 a day if you want to, or start them out at $300 a day, because you already know that they work. But now that they're all together, let's just double up the efforts and just send as many ads as we can to these people. Right.
Do you use cost controls?
Sometimes.
I feel like they don't work anymore. I feel like they got rid of target costs, and they used to work for me. Like I would literally put my budget at like $1 million a day and just put my target cost. By the way, I lost like $20,000 this one day because I changed. I was moving it back from $1 million to like a $200 a day, and you have to first change the budget, then change the cost. A couple times that really screwed me because it ran for like $20,000. I went to sleep and woke up and was like, oh my God. They gave me a refund like once, but I lost a lot of money on that. Yeah. That's off topic. But basically, dude, target costs actually saved my business. Like in 2018, my business, my sales were great. I had tons of employees, but we basically failed because I didn't know how much I could spend on ads yet. And I was thinking, I'm getting new sales, I'm getting new customers, I'm getting new emails. All my employees are busy. This is fine. This will work itself out. But like I was losing money and I was spending too much on ads. And I was like, so I had to fire a bunch of people. It was a terrible. I was actually like $300,000 in the hole. Like it was a big problem. And I eventually was like, all right, I got to figure this out. And target ads saved my ass because I didn't lose money on poorly performing ads. And then for like months, all I ran was target ads and they would get like 40 conversions a day. And I was like, all right, this is awesome. Now they got rid of target cost. Now it's cost cap, whatever. I barely know the difference. But now I have an ad that was like getting like a bad return, like 1.5, but it used to be good, but it used to be doing well. And I know there's people out there that like this will work for. So like now I put it on like a $11 cost cap or like $12, and like it'll only spend like $8 in a day. And I'm like, well, now it's not even doing anything. What the hell?
Yeah, I use the cost controls every now and again, primarily cost cap, and then I've also used minimum ROAS as well. And
minimum ROAS.
The interesting thing is with minimum ROAS, I typically try to set it to like what's the absolute lowest I'm willing to accept as a ROAS to still be profitable, right? So with most of the businesses I run ads for, they can even go as low as like a 1.7 and still make money. So I'll set some of these accounts to 1.7, 2.0. And yeah, there'll be days where nothing happens, but then there'll be days I wake up and it's like, oh, it's starting to spend and it's working.
Yeah, I hate that because it's like, why is it one day and one day spends $0, one day it's getting you 2.8 and is spending like $400? Like, what the hell's to do with that?
So every day there's different amounts of people logging in. Every day there's new advertisers launching different things. So like those bids fluctuate every day, right? Especially when you're doing minimum ROAS, right? So on like a Saturday, if there's a bunch of advertisers that don't advertise over the weekend, but you still are advertising over the weekend because that seems to be the best day for you to advertise, you'll notice that all of a sudden your ads start to spend. And they don't just spend, they also start to work. And then all of a sudden
at a good rate.
Yeah, they do great. And then all of a sudden it's Monday and nothing's spending. Well, not as many people are logged in. More people are launching ads on Monday. Thus, the bids are a little higher. Your ads get locked. You can't spend anything, right? So whenever I'm setting up cost control based campaigns, I actually am factoring in that they only run a couple days a week. And after a couple weeks, you realize like, oh, my campaigns always run Friday through Sunday, but every other day of the week, they don't. Fine. If I know that Friday through Sunday, they crush it and they get a 3, 4, 5 times return on money, but they're only running 3 days a week. Great. I'll just spend like crazy over those 3 days and I'll just wait for the next week. And so
what do you have like the budget set at for like a minimum 1.7 minimum? What number is in your budget category?
Yeah, most of the time it'll be something like for a specific campaign. Let's say it's a CBO, campaign budget optimization. I'll set it to like $1,000 or $2,000. It'll only spend about a fourth of it, sometimes even half of it at the most.
Dude, I put $1 million in that box all the time.
Yeah, but here's the thing: a lot of people start doing that. It's like bullying your way through a bunch of.
I don't know if it works or not, but I'm just like, if you can spend $1 million and get this return, I'm like, do it.
I think they started to put thresholds on that because they noticed a lot of advertisers were doing that. Because I used to do that. I used to put like $100,000 cap, and it wouldn't even spend more than like $3,000 in a day, but it would work really, really well. Then they noticed a lot of advertisers were doing that, and I think they might have put something in place to restrict it.
So like, what number should I put? I swear, I've actually been playing with this. I'll have a cost cap of $12, and I'll put in like 5,400. And then I'll put in like 91,000, and I'm just like, I don't know. And then I'll put in like 91,458.22 just to like play around with it to see like if it'll start moving. Yep. And I don't know. I haven't figured anything out. I don't know what I'm doing.
I actually manipulate the caps themselves more than I manipulate the amount spend. So let's say you really want to achieve a $12 cap at the most.
Yeah.
Well, I'll do $11.50. $11.60, $11.70, and I'll create campaigns at each of those caps up to about $13. And then I'll see.
Would that not be audience overlap?
No, because here's the thing: they're not all going to run. You're waiting for the ones that are going to run.
That's so dumb to me. Like one at 1140, one at 1150, same audience. That seems counterintuitive to me.
It is
audience overlap. It's 10 cents different. What the hell's the difference?
Right, but here's the thing: you might find that let's just say. The perfect cost cap all of a sudden ends up being $12.30, and the traffic starts coming in. That means
that's different. That's different than $12.20 or $12.40.
That means that more people were bidding at 11 and 12 than there were at 12.30. So you're the overbidder. They're going to start delivering the traffic to you. You see,
and if someone doesn't have a cost cap on, then they're just bidding based upon whatever. Like
they're bidding on the highest, which means that the highest could be 15, and they're just automatically paying 15.
Dang.
Yeah. But remember, it's a creative and messaging game. So if your creative and messaging works, you don't care if you're paying 15 because your conversion rate will actually come in much lower. Like your conversion cost, will come in lower because it's just converting, and Facebook will optimize it for you and move around the bids for you. So you don't have to worry. But when you're doing things off a cap, that's when you're monitoring it a lot more. right? So
Right.
your cap's 12:30. You're like, yes, I'm getting sales, but all of a sudden it stops delivering in the evening.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
More
Spend
advertisers.
it'll spend $2 in a day, and I'm like,
Yep.
all right, then I'm gonna put it back to like $100 a day.
It's a lot more.
It usually performs poorly then.
It's a lot more management. That's the main thing. So
Yeah.
I like to have a combination of manual campaigns, so like the cost caps and bid caps and all that. But then automatic is the primary driver of sales is just the automatic campaigns, the ones that are running on auto bid, and they're doing all the the bidding for me, because I don't want to be there all day just manipulating bids until something works.
It's basically what I do. But
Right. Some people it works really well. I mean, in the 2017, 2019 realm, like a lot of manual bidding was like huge for e-com.
Yeah.
So
Dude,
everyone
that was the years where it saved my life.
And that's the thing. It worked great. Don't get me wrong. There were the 1 year where I helped a client make like $3 million in a month. It was like all manual bids that I was doing.
Damn.
That it was in like the Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Christmas time. I was like, the only way we're going to work in this space, because we were selling phone accessories. So specifically for the iPhone, I was like, this is going to be the most competitive space. We're going to have to just outbid everybody. So I was constantly manipulating bids all day for a month and a half.
What was the ROAS?
We were averaging a 4.
Damn.
Yeah, we were averaging a 4, and we had a high volume. We actually made the supplier freak out. They had to slow down our times.
That's always a good sign. That's always a good sign.
It was always fun. But
yeah,
we were playing with the bids all day. And it was just constant. I'd go to sleep and I'd wake up and it's like, all right, got to go do it again. It's like, you got to rinse and repeat, because this is the only way we get the traffic. If we set it to automatic, our conversion costs were just too high. So, now I don't worry about that too much, because they figured out how to make that work across the network. But, now the manual bidding stuff is like, it's a whole different ballgame.
Right. Yeah. It's changed.
Yep.
So like, what is, I only know my company, right? Like, as somebody who works for like other clients, like, what is the industry average for a profitable, and for the people listening, when we say ROAS or ROAS, return on ad spend,
yep.
What is a industry? What's good no matter what? Like it, or does it not work for comparing a car to a t-shirt, or does it? Or
it's going to vary by industry, because like I said, like with supplements, for example, I have a client that can average a 1.5 and be profitable, because supplements.
Damn, really?
Yeah, because they can create the whole supplement for like $4, right? And then the packaging is not expensive, and if they're selling the supplement for $50, it's like
your margins have a lot to do with that.
Yeah, and a lot of these people will buy that product more than once, so they could factor that in too. Whereas,
but that doesn't factor into the ROAS, but it does on like your lifetime value or whatever.
Yeah, well, here's the thing: if you can get let's say a 1.5, and that makes you $1 for every sale in month 1, and you know that most of these buyers, let's say 50% of them are going to buy in month 2, you're fine with it. You'll just keep turning through the buyers, right? Whereas, let's say a apparel store, a lot of the apparel stores that I helped in the past, if they don't average like a 2.5 or higher, they're losing money, and that's factored.
Dude, 2.5. That's my number.
Yeah. So
2.5. And I've heard people talk about 2.5 after I figure that out completely on my own.
It really depends.
It's 2.5. If I get a 2.5, I'm good.
Well, here's another example. I was helping out a meal delivery service, right? With perishable goods. You have to get a high return on ad spend for that to work.
Like what? Like 8?
You have to average a 4.
Dang.
You have to average a 4 just to make money.
If you get such low margins.
Just to make up for the margins, you got to freeze dry the food. You got to ship it. It has to be fast. Most of these are 2-day air, right? So it's like it costs money.
So my 2.5 is their 4.
Is their 4, right?
Dang.
And then you have to, and that's why their business model is built upon subscription. So they are okay with losing a little bit of money month 1, because most of these subscriptions, people will stay on for 3-6 months. So they make their money month 2. But think about that. What if you're averaging a 3.5? You're losing money for every single customer.
Damn, dude, I would kill for a 3.5. Like I would actually spend $1 million a day.
Right.
That's some production issues, but
if you have a food business and you need 4 and you're getting a 3.5, you're losing money on every customer. And now you're praying that in month 2, 30% of them renew, because that covers the losses for last month. And then everything afterwards is going to be extra money.
Right. And that doesn't track in your Facebook ads. So like your Facebook ads kind of look like bad, right? But like,
Yeah. Well, they look
yeah,
bad to you, but the
but who
general public
cares?
might look at that and go, "Wow, 3.5, that's awesome." They don't really know what else is going on.
Right,
Right? And
right.
that's why when you see these results from certain people, you go, "Well, what is a 3.5 really?" If I don't know the business model, I don't know if that's profitable for them, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of the people that I run ads for, like they don't need to have that high of a return on ad spend to make money. Most of them are in that 2 to 2.5 range where it's like,
Mhm.
we can operate here. We don't want to operate here, but we can operate here. We would prefer to be at a 3, and then
Yeah.
everything above a 3, we're good. Like if you can get us to a
Yeah.
3.5, a 5, like we're killing it. Right? And
Yeah.
that's why a lot of these digital product people love ads, because they're like, yeah, every dollar I put in, I make 5 back. Of course, because you're charging 10K, you're charging 5K, like you're charging
Like
a
a
lot of money up
course or like
front.
a
Yeah.
high initial investment in a product.
Whereas
Oh
with
yeah, man.
e-com, it's a much smaller margin. You got to dial it in faster, and then it's a
Right.
volume play.
And you need a
So
lot. Yeah, you need a
a
lot.
lot.
And then if you try to like turn up your budget and then it goes for it's at 2.7 and you're spending 500 a day.
Yep.
And then you're like, dude, I want more of this. And you put in 2,000 a day. And then it goes down to 1.8. You're like, damn it.
Yeah.
Like, why did it just stay at 2.7? Like, that would have been awesome. But that's the game. That's the game, man. Dude, I love Facebook ads, man. This is the first like podcast I've had where like we're getting, this is like, some people probably left by now because like we're getting in the weeds here. But yeah, what about the other platforms? Like, I just got my TikTok ads. They annoy me because of the creative, right? Like, all I do on Facebook is I'm in charge of the Facebook page. Like my wife, actually, my sales team, and one other person, they do the Instagram posts, and we have a photographer. We have great pictures, but it's basically posted on the page on Facebook. Type some caption, put the link either through the ad platform where it says shop now or the link in the thing. I mix it up. But it's easy because it's pictures and like, and then it goes to Instagram. Like the creative for TikTok, you can't even take. Have you done TikTok ads or Snapchat ads? Because their ad platforms are very much identical.
Yeah.
And how do you like do creative? I guess you just might ask your clients like, yo, give me some creative.
Yeah, I've done TikTok ads, and it's very much like Facebook, but
How?
the audience there is younger.
How is it like Facebook? The fact that they have campaigns, ads.
Yeah, they literally copied Facebook's ad
right.
platform.
So does Snapchat.
But,
yeah.
So it's easy to launch, but the performance is different because their model is, the CPMs are cheap, the clicks are cheap, but the audience there is not looking to buy,
right?
Because they're not swiping.
They don't want to leave the platform.
No, they're not swiping through different videos to buy something because in Facebook it's a feed, Instagram it's a feed. This one's like you're going from video to video,
right?
And it's taking up the whole screen.
It's the whole screen.
If they land on that video and it doesn't grab their attention, they just move on. What I have seen do really well on TikTok is when you can use influencers to create something funny or entertaining pertaining to your product. And then they say, hey, if you check out the link in my bio, you get 20% off.
Okay.
That does well.
That's not using the platform, but that's a good strategy.
Well, you can, because TikTok built a influencer platform within the ads manager, so to speak, where you can hire influencers to do ads.
Really?
Yeah. And then you can connect their account so you could track it. Yeah.
Oh, so so it's more like an ad than it is like paying an influencer like off the books.
Yep. So once they connect
and they connect you.
Yeah. So you basically connect to their account, they connect the post, and then the post is tracked in the ads dashboard.
No way. And they put the link in their bio? And it looks organic.
Yeah.
So like, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. You don't see that anywhere. They figured that part out, but it's also because the advertisers went back to them and said, yeah, no one's clicking our stuff.
The other thing that's weird about TikTok and Snapchat ads is you like put in your handle and like they can't click on you and go to your profile.
Yeah. That's the weird
I feel like some people might like that if you're like, don't have a big following. You don't have to like expose the fact that you have 80 followers when we've got a lot of Instagram followers over the years from running ads, and that's like a little side plus. Yeah. There's none of that on TikTok, and I don't know. I don't like it.
They're adjusting the platform. They're still getting used to things. They're pretty much giving brand managers to any new advertiser out there, which, if Facebook was doing that, they'd have tens of thousands of brand managers on staff, but they don't, right? So TikTok is sort of, giving a lot of preferential treatment to the big spenders because they're poaching, right? They're like, hey, who spends a lot of money on Facebook? Oh, you do? How many clients you got? Oh, I got 30. Great. Boom. Come over here. We'll hook you up. Like, we'll give you some ad credits. We'll give you an agency account. Like, they're giving all the treatment that we would have expected from Facebook a long time ago that we never got. And they're doing that now. So, that's why their platform is growing so fast.
Yeah. There's two other platforms I want to get your opinion on that I'm interested in, ad platforms. Pinterest and Twitter.
Yeah.
Okay. I sell girls' clothing, and Pinterest is like kind of known as a girl thing. They're trying to change that a little bit. There was a time in like 2015 where we had this one pin on Pinterest go organically free, incredibly viral. And I sold so much from it. I was like, dude, Pinterest is awesome. And then like in 2016, they came out with an ad platform. I was like, yo, we're about to rock Pinterest. And I haven't spent money there in months because like it doesn't do anything. Like, have you ever advertised on Pinterest through their ad platform, and have you had success?
Yeah, I don't get direct sales from Pinterest. What I'm doing, because it doesn't perform.
It doesn't perform.
It doesn't perform off the first visit. I think you know where I'm going with this. It gets a lot of traffic, a lot, especially if your content is
not
just
my
on
experience.
the money with the user base. But you take those users and you retarget the hell out of them. They buy
on Pinterest?
No. You're pixeling
on Facebook.
You could pick, you just retarget them on Instagram.
People who visit your website, create an audience of that.
Yep. And then you just
well, goddamn, I might as well just have them find it through Facebook and like run conversion ads.
Well, no, that's not necessarily, because you know this because you've experienced it, right? A post goes viral on Pinterest, for example.
Yeah, it's the best. It's awesome.
Hundreds of thousands of visits that just come in from that.
Hasn't happened to me in years, by the way.
Yeah, I've had just random stuff of mine get posted on there, and like 40,000 hits later, I'm like, where all this traffic come from, right? But I find that traffic does better once they're retargeted. So if you're a big site that does a lot of content marketing, and even though that platform's more diverse than it used to be, where it was like 90% women, it's like 70% now. It's still mostly women. But if you have a subject matter that seems to get pinned a lot on that platform, you can retarget a lot of those visitors and they will buy, but it just takes a longer period of time.
Yeah. Right? I guess I'm just a little lost on Pinterest as like, what's the user experience? I don't even know. I feel like they're falling off a little bit.
Yeah. But I mean, from a revenue standpoint, they've made a lot more money because there's more like the big food blogs are now advertising on there because food does really well. And then women-based e-com companies are doing a lot more stuff over there, right?
So they're doing better as a company making
because
revenue.
There's more people realizing, once again, it's a traffic play. So if a lot of the people advertising there are also getting, let's say, advertising spots purchased from their sites or from their YouTube channels or whatever, they want the traffic. They need the page views to get bigger advertisers. So they could see
page views. I don't give a shit about page views. I care about conversion. I don't. Right. Exactly. From my perspective.
What if you have a big recipe blog that gets a million
then
hits?
You want to sell advertisers and be like, look at my views. So it's a different model. So that's where Pinterest is excelling a little more than e-commerce maybe. Okay. All right. So what about Twitter?
Twitter is interesting because it's still a big platform for public figures.
I love Twitter as a user.
Yeah, I find that like I'm a big investor trader type, and I follow a lot of those people on Twitter. They call it FinTwit, like, so anyone who's in the financial space, Twitter. And it's a big industry on Twitter because it's just like, look at this stock, look at this, man. It's all quick.
Twitter's great, but
it's a different user, right? Even though like I have a Twitter account, I act very different on Twitter than I do on Facebook, right? It's just
same, yeah.
Everyone, I'm sure everyone's that way. So I find that if you're able to get your point across a lot faster, and it's almost like it's hypey, right? You're basically writing headlines, and if your headlines grab attention, whatever you're putting out there gets clicked a ton. It's just like Pinterest, where it's just traffic.
It's just like Pinterest. Okay, correct. Because I have the same story as Pinterest on Twitter. I haven't probably run a Twitter ad in 2 years, but I'm always like, once every couple years, I try to try these platforms out and throw $500 in there. Twitter, dude, they will just suck up your $500, no conversions, and you're just like, whoa, what just happened, man? That was like I swear it was like 3 hours. It gets approved, the ad, $500 sucked up. you got no traffic, no conversions, and you're like, whoa, okay, what?
Mm.
Like that's the way I feel about advertising on Twitter. And I don't think their stock's like blowing up. I mean, maybe, you know, I don't know if they're long play or whatever, but like I feel like their ad platform hasn't been successful like Pinterest has been for them. And like no one's like, oh, I saw this on Twitter and bought it.
No, their ad platform is not growing as fast as the others. Like even Pinterest is outgrowing them on the ad platform side. I think Twitter is more of it's more of what they wanted to become, like a CNN. And I'm using this as an example. It's a media source, right?
Mm-hmm. Dude, I mean, if there's news, if there's 9/11, first place I'm going is Twitter. First place I'm going.
Facebook goes down, the first place you go to talk about is Twitter, right? If you think about it, they're really good at getting things out there quickly.
Oh, amazing.
And it's good at finding trends. So in essence, if they became more of a media network, because remember, they started streaming sports on Twitter.
Right.
So
That's cool.
When I started noticing this, I was like, it's like a digital version of what a news network should be.
Yeah.
Here's everything. Here's the integration of talking with people. Here's what's trending. Here's what's being talked about. We'll throw in some ads in there, but here's some other stuff going on. Like that's what a news network could have been, is Twitter, basically. And they just never figured out the ad network part.
Right. Not yet. I feel like, I don't know what Twitter stock's at. When they went public, I bought some of it. That was like 8 years ago, or I don't know.
It's doing well.
I feel like, but is it? I feel like that's a company I would like invest in for the long term because they'll figure it out eventually. I mean, they're not focused on ad revenue. They're focused on like keeping a good platform, and like that's cool. I like that. I like that about them.
Snapchat was going backwards, and then it revived itself, and it hit all-time highs not too long ago. Same thing with Twitter.
Dude, I bought a bunch of shares of Snapchat. I bought like 70 shares of Snapchat when it was like $9. It's up to like $60, so I'm doing good on that. And the reason I bought Snapchat was because they came out with their ad platform, and I was like, "Yo, this is pretty good." And I get some conversions on there, but I only run like warm audiences on Snapchat. So like anyone who's visited my site. So like I haven't really played around with like you can create a whole little experience and stuff. I just haven't. But and then that comes back to attribution because I'm like, do these people just see me on Facebook and then go on Snapchat, see it, and then go back to Google to buy it, and then like Snapchat's stealing that credit for that conversion? Like I never know. I don't know about attribution.
Difficult.
Have you ever heard of this company? You ever heard of this company, Hyros?
Yes.
Are they good?
Yes. The guy who runs the company, I used to run ads for him. So Alex Becker has a great platform, fantastic. About half my clients use it, and it has a little bit of a learning curve, but it is a very good platform, and it does help with attribution because it's built upon different varieties of attribution. You have first click, last click, view, click, all these things. I do last click because it's like, what was the last thing you saw before you made a decision? That's typically what gets you to buy, right? It's the last place you saw something. Maybe. Yeah. Some people, I mean, and you can look at both, by the way. It tracks first click and last. So it's like, you don't have to just say, it's all because of this last thing.
Even still, if I see the whole click cycle, I still don't know where to give the credit to.
Right. But in some cases, if let's say you're running 2 networks, right? And you're seeing, let's say YouTube and Facebook, and you go through the data and you're like, a lot of my buyers are coming from the last click.
Okay.
Then you know that, okay.
Then you want to credit the last click.
Right. And then you could say like, maybe the journey starts here, but it ends here. So you can create a campaign where it's like the journey starts on Facebook and it ends on YouTube, and you can get more buyers in that way if you could see that the data supports that. Right. Yeah. So it does give great attribution to what's working, what's not, what audiences actually generated the sales versus what maybe the dashboard will say. Right. So Facebook might say, oh, this audience has delivered 100 leads and 10 purchases. But in Hyros would say, well, according to last click, this audience actually generated 80 leads.
I'm just concerned about double attribution. Like, well, I want my ads. If Snapchat has 10 sales, Facebook has 60 sales, Pinterest has 8 sales. What's that? I want to see 68 sales on my Shopify page.
Well, that's why a lot of people use these third-party platforms like Hyros or Wicked Reports.
I'm thinking about getting it.
Yeah, because really what that allows you to do is, they have their own way of tracking where the source has come from, and it's independent tracking, right? So it's not tied into the dashboard where, let's say, Facebook will say, oh, you've had 100 leads, and in reality, you've only had 83. So let's just say Hyros, for example. Hyros's code will pick up on 82. Right. And then let's say your autoresponder says there's 83. Okay, it's only missed 1. But yet Facebook says 100. Why is that? Right.
Yeah.
So by having that extra layer, you can go back and say, well, my autoresponder says 83. This one says 82, and it's an independent code. And then Facebook shows 100. I'm going to go with what Hyros in my autoresponder says. Right.
But also how it should add up to whatever's on your Shopify.
Right. It's still, and it does. So like, for example, with one of my clients who's in the e-com space, his Hyros account, the data that comes from Shopify and Hyros, like the revenue matches. Revenue matches. But what I get from Hyros is which audiences actually delivered that sale.
Nice. And they
versus and it adds up. Now, let's be honest here. If you're doing one audience per campaign, like some people do, very easy to say, this audience worked and this one didn't. So what Hyros will do for you as an example, and I'll tell Becker that I'm promoting this for him, is that, the campaign will say it had 10 sales, and in Hyros, it'll say it had 6. So what it actually will help you do is determine which ads are worth scaling and which ones are not, right? Because then your purchase metrics aren't off.
That's good. Right? That's good information.
That's where it could be most useful, especially if you're doing, like if you want to scale the ones that have produced the most revenue. They have a great Chrome extension now where it's like it opens in your ad dashboard. So you just expand the columns.
That's cool.
And it'll pull up the revenue stats based on each audience. And you're like, oh, okay. So this audience actually generated sales. And in Facebook, it said it didn't, but this one did. So interesting, right? So you'll know exactly what to scale versus just relying entirely on Facebook.
I think Hyros, I did a call with them. I think they wanted to charge me like $4,000 a month. Does that sound right?
It really, I think they do it based on revenue. So like whatever you're producing in your account. And not to mention, if you have an agency account, you get a little more leeway because you're doing it for multiple people. Right. So yeah, it really depends on like how large of an operation you have a large operation. So yours is probably going to cost a lot more. I'm doing it as an agency representative, right? So it's like I have some accounts that don't spend as much, and then I have others that spend hundreds of thousands of dollars.
And you get it for all of them.
Well, not all of them. Not all of them, right? So like, for example, my largest client, who's a supplement business, they have their own independent tracking that they built themselves. Like they paid developers to develop their own dashboard, their own tracking, right? Their own money. Because they're like, no, we own the data, we're building it, right? So they did that, and they spent the hundreds of thousands of dollars to have it all coded and built. That's and all that. That works for them, right? But they're a multi, I
can't do that like tomorrow.
Yeah, they make tens of millions of dollars. So for them, that works. But like the business coach that I helped make, $2 million last year, they're not going to do all that. So they'll pay Hyros, $700 a month or $1,000 a month for that tracking because they want to know where else they could scale.
Right.
So it really depends on the model.
Dude, I love this conversation, man. I like learned a lot from you. Like Facebook ads is awesome. Let's wrap it up with something completely not about Facebook ads. You down? I don't know. Sure. Like,
let's do it.
You got any topic that you're interested in, like
I mean, other than the fact that I moved recently, it's like I do a couple things. I basically watch sports. I'm a basketball fan. I play Xbox a ton because I'm a gamer, and then I trade every day because I love the stock market. Right?
Trade every day.
Every day.
You think that's like the market's open. I kind of like rip on day traders because like it's like the same thing as gambling on sports every night. Yeah, it's fun. It gives you something to do, and you might break even. But like, do you think you're getting rich day trading?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. You're doing it for fun.
I'm not getting rich day trading, but I also have a system that works for me, right? I'm also not trying to create a day trading room. I'm not giving out ticker symbols all day, right? So to me, here's the thing. Like, I don't consider myself a day trader. I day trade, but I invest. I have a long-term portfolio and I have a short-term.
Okay.
I basically...
So it's a little for fun, right?
Yeah. And for me, it works because I'm only, for the long-term stuff, I'm only buying companies that I believe in, right? The Apples, the Microsofts of the world, stuff like that. And I understand economics to know when an index fund should be purchased and when it shouldn't be. And I know what time of the year, historically, certain months are worse than others to buy, right? So I understand history enough to know when to be a part of the market and when not to be. For example, I know a lot of people who lost money last month, and I didn't play in the market last month because I knew that historically March is terrible. So you are a magician who can predict the future? I can't predict the future. I use history to determine when I should do things, right? And something like the stock market, which is highly manipulated, just like the crypto market. The difference is that, at least in crypto, the manipulation there could be hundreds of, if not thousands of percents in a week, whereas in the stock market, that manipulation might be 10% or 100%. to me, it's a little more, I have more risk management in the stock market than I do with crypto, right? So I know for me, when I'm making a bet or a gamble on something, so to speak, it's like I'm doing it for the long term. I'm going to hold this thing for 10 years if I'm going to invest.
That's how I invest in all my investments.
But with the day trading,
it's more boring.
But with the day trading, I'm looking
at
charts.
Stuff to do.
Yeah,
you're looking at the chart.
But I only day trade 2-3 hours a day because I know that the
that's a lot, man.
No, it's not, because they only the hottest times of the day are the first 2 hours of the day and the last.
Should they buy something and sell it in the same day?
I usually do.
Dang.
Yeah. And I actually.
What about like transaction fees? Do they add up?
Most brokers these days are commission free.
Oh.
So they actually make their money on.
I don't even know what mine are because I've been holding them.
Well, so some platforms they still charge, but they're so low that it doesn't really add up unless you're doing hundreds of trades a month, which I don't.
Right. Okay.
Right. So for example, on like a good day, I might make 2 trades, but I went quite in on those trades that it's substantial enough for me to go, I'm done. Right. So like, for example, today I only made 2 trades and I did them within about 45 minutes.
Okay. I mean,
and I was out.
But you made money?
I made money. So it was fun. Like the biggest day I ever had, the biggest day I ever had was about $48,000 in a day.
Dang.
The worst day I ever had, I lost $23,000 in a day.
All right. Well, that's,
right.
One was higher than the high was higher than the low.
But
to me, that seems like betting on the Bears -8.
Right. But here's the thing. On that day that I lost the 23, I was holding on to something that if I followed my own rules, which I clearly didn't, I got emotional. If I followed my own rules, I would have never lost 23. I would have lost about 3. I got emotionally invested in something.
That's the worst thing you can do in investing.
Right? Exactly. And I made that one mistake and that was it. And then the one that I made, I would have made 50 something. I ended up making about, 43 to 45, somewhere in there. It was like, okay, I held on to something. I gave it one extra day. That extra day, it got really good news. I didn't know the news was going to come out. It just came out. Nice. And it happened to be that the morning when I checked, it popped and I got out. Right. Okay. So, that it wasn't a methodical play. Most of the stuff I play that's done with a strategy, I'm looking at the chart. I'm looking at the, the minute by minute, sometimes even 15 seconds at a time. And I'm looking for moves, whether it's trends or, buyer flow, all that stuff. But they would call it a scalper. I'm looking for, subtle moves.
So you love being on the computer and looking at a bunch of numbers and like playing around with them.
Why do you think
that's Facebook ads. That's day trading in a way. And like you even said, you also like video games too, which is I guess a little different than that.
It's all numbers.
Yeah, you like that stuff.
That's how my brain works.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why
do what you're good at.
I've actually told a lot of my friends, if you're great at ads, you could probably trade. And vice versa. If you trade, you could probably figure out ads.
Yeah.
I'm looking at charts on ads too. Right. It's like, lead cost is incrementally going up. What does that mean? I probably should get out. It's not working so well. Right. So, there's little things like that you can correlate and it works. I crunch numbers for a living with ads. So naturally it makes it easy for me to trade.
Yeah. So you're just good at it. That's cool, man. Yeah. Yo, last random thing that I've been thinking about lately, which is like, it's going to seem out of the blue, but it's just something that I've been on my mind a lot lately, is get your opinion on it and we'll wrap it up. You know about like CRISPR, like designer babies and like changing babies like DNA to be certain eye color. Well, first it's to get rid of a disease. Everyone agrees. Then it's an eye color. Then it's a height. Then it's an IQ. Yeah. I'm fascinated in that. And I kind of lean towards like, I'm going to make my baby a designer baby. Like I'm recently married. I don't have any kids yet. I don't know. I'm trying to learn more about it. But I think it's a very interesting topic, like to the future of the world. Any opinion, any insight, morals against it? Like, would you do it?
Would I do it? I mean, if the money makes sense for you to be able to do it, because I'm sure there's going to be a big dollar sign that's involved with something like that.
Yeah, but your kid's going to be Albert Einstein or Steve
or
Jobs.
Or LeBron James, right? So it's what do you want? But
he'll be in kindergarten, like 6'3", and like everyone else will be like
exactly.
4
It's
feet.
like, he could dunk already. He's in 4th grade. But to me, there's going to be people who are like, you don't mess with biology like that. And it's like, look, at the end of the day, we're already messing with this stuff anyway. People are doing this to begin with. Yeah. It's just at what level, right? To be able to basically pull up an iPad and customize your baby. Yeah, that's a little insane. It's a little crazy, but it might happen. I mean,
and you don't want your kid to be the one that is the only one in his class that didn't get any help, you know? Like, you're biologically born normal, loser.
Yeah. But that's one of those things that movies have been made about for years, right?
Oh yeah, man.
The Black Mirror type stuff. But at the end of the day, it's like, it's either going to happen or there's going to be a variation of it. Maybe it's not like complete A to Z, pick everything, but there might be certain characteristics like, hey, if you give us an extra 10 grand, his IQ will be, top of his class.
I'd be so mad at my parents of like, I got 10 grand, fuck it. I'd be like, oh my God, dude, my IQ could have been like that. I could have been solving equations.
Yeah, or you didn't pay the extra $1,000 for the athletic genes. Like,
Yeah, it's like, oh my God, you cheap bastard. Like, what the hell?
But at the end of the day, it's like, could that happen? Maybe. But I think that's going to be more prevalent. It's going to be more aware to people where it's like, yeah, your mom picked out that your eyes are going to be blue.
Yeah, that's whatever. Yeah.
Like, I think things like that are going to happen more, at least in the interim. I don't know.
I mean, dude, what about choosing gender? I mean, I want a son. If I could pick,
I'm pretty sure that's going to be one of the more.
That's like the one I would care about the most.
I think that's the one that more people are going to.
Actually, IQ. It'd probably be IQ 1, gender 2, as far as like the things I care about.
I think they'll interchange for some people. Some people are just gonna be like, look, I have like 4 daughters. Can you get me a son?
Yeah.
That's gonna happen a lot. And then there's also gonna be people who are like, I just want to have a smart baby. Here's the thing, smart. I know people who are straight A students when I was in school, and they're not doing anything.
True. What does IQ even mean?
That's right. So it's
still the experiences and the nature and the nurture that will still affect the outcome of the kid. It's not like it's not a free hall pass. It's not like it's still just a little
something
advantage.
That like you said, someone's gonna want to be like, hey, just give me like a scientist kid who can also dunk on people and and is like 6'3" and has muscles. It's like, what? Like
he'll end up looking like that guy from the Goonies.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you guys.
You can't do all
like, damn it, we really screwed this one up. All right, let's try again.
But I just don't know how far that's going to go. It's the gender thing, though. I wouldn't be surprised if that becomes more of a common thing people pick, especially for those who are, who have money.
I don't want some teenage girl like. I'll be like,
I don't know if we'll be able to control that, right? But like, I have a son right
well, if
now.
I could have a boy, and he'll just be like, "Yo, Dad, want to play catch?"
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
I'm gender stereotyping, but
like I have a son right now. And
you do?
Yeah, and if let's
how old
say
is he?
He's 16 months old.
Okay. Right? So your second son could be the designer baby, and he'll beat up his older brother.
Or you never know. It could be that my wife's like, I want to have a girl. Okay, well,
right.
How many XP do I have to buy to get it? How many things?
Yeah.
But
how many points do I need? Yeah.
That could end up being something that's real, or it's like, look, based on your genetic makeup, you have like a 20% chance of having a girl. So if you give us 20 grand, we can get you a girl. It's like, it could actually be a thing.
Yeah.
I think that'll be more real than the iPad solution of like customized.
Right. Yeah, man. It's fascinating. It's fascinating. Dude, we're flowing great, man. If anyone knows as much about Facebook ads as us, I feel like this is a great conversation. If you don't know a lot about Facebook ads, then you're probably not here anymore. But dude, this has been fun.
Absolutely. I've had a pleasure, man. It's been awesome. Definitely not just about ads, but that's the whole thing, is just keeping us on our toes and seeing what we know.
All right. Yeah. David Schloss, where can everyone go follow you and all that stuff?
Yeah. So if you want to work with me in any capacity, whether it's consulting, done for you, you can email me directly, david@convertroi.com. If you want to see some of the people I've worked with and just collaborated with over the years, just go to convertroi.com or davidmschloss.com. And then if you want to just follow me on social, my Facebook handle, facebook.com/davidmschloss. Or Instagram as well, instagram.com/davidmschloss. And I post there. I'm verified. I'm the one with the blue check, so it's me.
Nice.
And then, all the good stuff is over there.
Awesome, man. Well, if anyone's listening, you're a smart guy, you should go follow them. If you don't find them in a Facebook ad first to get them to convert. But dude, you're the man. Thank you so much for coming on.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate it.
Later.